So would you consider yourself like a spiritual person?
I would say in the context of spirituality versus religion, I definitely lean more towards spirituality.
Okay.
Just because I feel like religion offers a lot of answers that I'm personally not yet ready for.
Okay, like it's too fixated on particular categories.
Yeah, like I personally believe there is something up there. I just personally don't know if it's a white man with a big beard named God. That's just where I'm at.
Sure, yeah, sure. Okay, so do you think, in a similar vein, although different, do you think that we have real access to the world outside of us, or is it sort of invented in our minds? It's sort of arbitrary, or like, can I look at that tree and say, okay, that's a real tree, or is it just sort of a perception that my brain is inventing for the sake of natural selection or something like that?
I think, honestly, it depends. I personally, I mean no disrespect, I don't honestly care. I'm here and I'm enjoying it, and
Yeah, well, that's an answer too.
I guess the world is what I perceive it. So, I mean, this could be a total figment of my imagination. It could be the Matrix, but honestly, that's okay with me because I'm perceiving that tree. I'm not sure if it exists, but looking at it makes me happy, and I think deep down that's like the biggest thing of all.
Okay, so really all that matters is your experience, because that's the only thing you can even interface with, and so you can't even there's no point even in asking questions beyond that.
I feel like absolutely, I love delving into deep topics. I love questioning reality. I just personally, I take joy in the simplicity of just perceiving things. I don't really care if it's right or wrong, but absolutely I think it's amazing delving into things we don't know about.
Okay, so just perception itself is sort of this mystery, and you enjoy kind of the mystery itself, and you don't need the answers that might be behind it.
Absolutely. I think it's fun to take stabs at those answers, but I don't need them. I'm happy without them.
Okay, fair enough.
I'd be happy with them too.
So how do you explain the consistencies in your experience? Like how you can, let's say you buy a gallon of milk, although I don't know if that's something you'd buy, and you put it in your fridge, and then you go to sleep and wake up and your milk is still there when you wake up. That might sound like a weird question, but how do you explain that your experience is consistent? Like it's not ever changing, sort of like unendingly chaotic, but there's consistent patterns in your experience. Like what do you attribute that to?
What do I attribute that consistency to?
Is it like a material stasis of the world, that you can take some material and move it over here and it stays there? Or is it something more phenomenological, like you were saying, more to do with your experience itself? Like, how do you explain consistency in your experience?
I have no clue. I think half of me believes that, we're all just atoms, specks of dust in, certain formations that don't move unless energy is acted upon them. But I also feel that, it's just kind of, I don't know, humans are creatures of habit, and I feel like you put the milk in the fridge and it's still there, it's because we want it to be there.
Okay. So there's a sort of self-creating of the perception along with, is it just self-created, or is there also like you said, some sort of atomic or material reality that we are interacting with? Or is it just like a matter of will, like this is the purpose I have for that milk, and therefore it remains in my perception because it's in my memory or something like that? Or is it more complicated than that?
If I were to attribute, though, that gallon of milk sitting in the fridge all night, I would attribute it to it's there because we want it to be there. I think, as I said before, we're creatures of habit. I'm definitely a creature of habit. I have my routines, and if I put milk in the fridge and it's not there the next morning, that's definitely not, in my experience or opinion, that's not a desirable outcome.
Okay.
So I feel that the milk is still sitting in the fridge because we want it there.
Okay, so our desires, our purposes, our will sort of creates the world around us.
Precisely.
But how do we square that with the fact of other people, like that might have separate wills? Or is it all just kind of a world of competing wills?
I would say At a first glance, it definitely seems like a competition.
Okay.
In moments of my life, I've been focusing on competing with my peers instead of, working together to help everyone succeed.
Yeah.
So I think at a first glance, this world definitely looks like all these wills are competing and it's just utter chaos. But deep down, in the end, I believe in balance. And I think for every action, there's an equal opposite reaction. And I think with the 9 billion souls we have on this rock in a corner of space that no one else cares about, I feel like deep down we're all working together towards the same thing.
Okay, so there is a commonality of desire, and maybe that's what holds the world together.
I think that is what holds the world together.
So this implicit commonality of desire. What is that desire exactly? I mean, it might be a simple answer, I'm not sure.
I think above all else, humans fear being alone. And I think a desire to be together, I think that is one of the most primal, rudimentary experiences we all share. And I feel that is just one of the many forces that keep us all on the same track, if you will.
Okay, so our desire to be a part of something, or our desire to be accepted by others, is that, or is it just a desire to be with others? Or,
desire to be with others.
Yeah, that's what you said. Okay, so a desire for a communion with others, like a formation of a community that you can exist as a part in, something like that?
Of course, there will always be societal concepts, ideologies like race, religion, gender identity. Those things will always get in the way, but in the end, they are constructs, I feel.
Okay, so are we all really just one being, and there's just an illusion of difference?
I think so. I mean, the fact that I share 99.9% of my DNA with every human being on this earth, I find that, if nothing else, if not scientific, I find that miraculous. And so, in my personal opinion, I feel that if we share, like, almost 100% of our characteristics, our traits, our DNA, how are we not one?
Okay. All right. So is that an inference from your experience, or is that just like a theory, or is it something you're just convicted of in a deeper sort of sense?
It is a theory that through my life's experiences I have grown to accept, and it is a theory that I've grown convinced of because we're all here. Nobody knows what they're doing. Nobody knows anything, to be blunt. And that little kind of slice of an answer that I've given to myself, I find comfort in that, and I'll continue to hold on to it.
Okay. So there's this sort of profound ignorance that is at the root of everyone's consciousness, sort of like no one really knows anything.
Ignorance is bliss. I feel that. I mean, of course you have savants, you have people who are leading research and they're creating new ideas and amazing inventions to help, better the world we live in.
Yeah.
But if you compare that to everything there is to know, we know nothing.
Okay, sure. So it's more in comparison to the almost inexhaustible knowledge outside of our awareness.
Exactly, yeah.
Something like that. Okay. So if we are one being, what does that mean for society, like in a practical sense? Like should we embrace some sort of collective society where we try to, and a like Hegelian might say something like we try to self-actualize as this one being? Because that Hegelian, this is like, the philosopher Hegel kind of had a similar idea.
Hive mind kind of view.
Yeah, like that we are all made of the same substance.
Okay.
And the goal is to like self-actualize through history or something. Like, is that an idea you'd subscribe to?
I honestly pick and choose what ideas I subscribe to, and I would honestly, I agree with, segments of that ideology, and I feel that maybe we don't become a hive mind, maybe we're not like the ants from, Ender's Game, but definitely humans are communicative. They are cooperative. They are meant to be together. They are meant to be striving towards something together. And that is just a crucial step in our nature that we, unfortunately, in today's society, we're not really executing well.
Okay, so people are too atomized. Is there a good balance though? Because, is there this balance between atomization and something like enmeshment?
Enmeshment?
Enmeshment is like a psychological term to say that you're almost too socially connected with one another, where like the borders between you kind of mix together. It's known as largely as a pathology, often between mothers and their daughters.
Yeah.
And so is there a balance between like that atomization that's toxic that you're talking about, that's sort of taking hold in society, but also this enmeshment that might theoretically be too close? Or can we ever get too close, like where the borders between one another sort of psychologically blend together? Like, is that pathology, or is that the way things should be?
I think kind of just summarizing this and bringing it all back to my tattoo, honestly, I believe in balance. Balance is the recipe for absolutely everything and anything.
I guess I kind of set you up for that one, didn't I? Yeah.
So, yes, it was just a good opportunity.
No, it's good. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, yeah.
I feel that, I'm going to dumb this down so it's not entirely an accurate analogy, but it's the best one I can come up with. I love my loved ones. And especially like my siblings, my parents, when I spend too much time with them, I hate them. That kind of togetherness, as you would say, has become kind of toxic. So I need a break. But then there's also, the other side of that coin. Maybe I spend too much time alone in isolation with my own little gallon of milk in my own little fridge. And it's all about being able to appreciate your lonely gallon of milk and being able to spend time with your crazy family in a car moving from Chicago to Colorado.
Yeah, I like the poetic nature of what you're saying. Yeah.
And I guess if I were to summarize everything I've said, it's that I don't know anything except I have an idea of, just balance, cooperation, love. Yeah. Don't let societal constructs get in the way of you doing you.
Okay, but balance is sort of the key. Like the extremes are always going to be in some sense pathological, or at least usually.
I feel like balance as a concept can be defined scientifically and spiritually, which is why I love it. Balance, every action there's an equal opposite reaction. You have the first, second, third law of thermodynamics. Basically, they all preach about balance and whatnot. And I feel if something is able to be expressed in that many ways to that many audiences, whether you're a religious follower or a person of science, I feel like if something is that easy and widespread to explain, I feel like that is definitely one of the answers we've spent these last 2 billion years searching for.
So we might know that thing. Yeah. That's cool though. Balance is a very spiritually rich idea, I think. Yeah. It comes up a lot in religious symbolism even, or a variety of different places. So
it's there for a reason.
It's a good sentiment.
Yeah.